When I started my photography business, I thought the hardest part of any of this was learning how to use my camera and how to take pretty shots. No. Lightings, cameras, editing, and all the nerdy stuff. I thought that was the important thing. Turns out, no, it's really not. It's part of the important thing, but it's not the important thing. I feel like that was the easiest part. That was the bit I was like, oh, I've got this. Once I've got this down, I'm sorted. I can start a business. The hardest part, 100%, was running it as a business. I can't just simply go, I made a Facebook page, I'm now a business. There was a lot more involved, and I naively thought that was literally how it was done, because I was seeing and still am seeing people do the exact same thing that I did. So Honey Bear, let's get into how we actually do it. And these are some of the biggest mistakes I've learned in business and some of the bullshit I went through to get the business that I've got now. Literally, nobody cares how hard you work. It's cute to boast about it on social media. Sure, I'm not working hard, blah, blah, and I do it. I'm with you. I do it. But clients don't care. They want results. They want them as soon as they can get them, and they want to be happy with what they're getting. They want to feel warm and fuzzy. They want to know that it's simple all the way through. That's all clients care about. That's all they genuinely care about. They don't care, oh, I'm really busy, I've got loads on. No, they don't. They just want their thing that they want. I'll give you a great example. There was a shoot I was shooting in a hot tub for this portrait session, and it meant I had to do the logistics of getting this hot tub set up. I had to get the lighting right, and then we realised that we couldn't use the lighting we wanted safely because, you know, water and electrics aren't great at the time. I was like, okay, we could have speed lights up, but then there wasn't enough room to put the speed lights up, so we had to use natural light. And I was like, right, we can only have it on certain days. And the client was just like, yeah, but I want this now. And I was pulling my hair out. And in the end, I got the shot. They were really happy. But did they care about how much effort I put in to get it all sorted? No, they just wanted the pictures. They got the pictures. They were happy with the pictures. But I'll be blunt, they did not care about the process behind those pictures. I mean, it's all on my social media and stuff, but yeah. Here I was obsessing over the details and they couldn't give a crap. I was worried about your safety. I wanted you not to be electrocuted, but they were like, just get us it done. So I had to go get it done, yeah. What my point is that your effort is invisible to your client. So don't try and think that because you're working hard that makes you more, well, should we say a better photographer? It doesn't. It genuinely doesn't. There are ways in which you can make your life easier. Yes, there are little things, and I talk about these all the time, like from client management software to editing software to automations and all of that. What matters with clients is professionalism, delivery, and communication. That's what they want. That's the thing, okay? They don't give a crap about all the other stuff, but people seem fixated on they need to show all the behind the scenes. Behind the scenes is something I say share to get people interested in what you do so they can see your other work, but don't put it up as if to expect your client to go, oh my God, you work so hard on that, I'm going to book you. They're just being nosy. That's the whole reason. People who realise how hard you work are other photographers, but your content is aimed at people saying, look how much fun we had on this shoot. That's why you're showing the behind the scenes, because then they trust you more. Lesson 2, being good isn't enough. Being a good photographer is not enough to have a business. It is not. I know many amazing photographers who can't run a business to save their life. They literally can't work out finances. They can't work out plans. They barely meet targets on time. And yeah, I know photographers and I see photographers who aren't perhaps the most incredible groundbreaking photographers, myself included in that, okay? But they are making it work and they're booked and they're busy. And why? Because they understand marketing. They understand branding and visibility. They understand what it means to run a business, okay? If you can be a very good business owner and a photographer on top, okay? I think sometimes we think that because we're a good photographer, we're going to be an amazing business person. There is so much more in business, which is why I say, if I was going to tell anyone to go learn something about photography, and if you want to do it as a business, go learn how to run a business. Not from another photographer, from an actual business coach. Go learn that. Because you won't make costly mistakes. I have made many costly mistakes. I went on a retreat that apparently was going to show me how to do this great business thing. And when I arrived, it was yoga. And I have no hate on yoga, but I spent more time doing yoga than I did in the classroom learning about marketing and business. And the essential takeaway was be yourself and put yourself out there. I did not spend nearly $2,000 to be told that. Okay. I don't care how much downward dog position you put me in or child pose, whatever it was. That was not okay. And that was a big costly mistake. At the time, I didn't have the money and people were telling me how great it was. What I realized is that people who were telling me it was great were people who don't do photography full time and were just buying into the hype of the coach and not actually what they got from it. So now when I do my seminars, I try to give people as much information as possible and I don't gatekeep and hold anything back, which is why I started the podcast, the loud lens and everything like that. And these videos, which is a great time for you to subscribe, okay? Yeah, it was a costly mistake. I've made another one. I did make another one. I paid somebody to start my marketing for me. I didn't know how I was going to do marketing, and I couldn't figure out what my message was, and I did it. And what came out was, you know me now, I was like maybe not so much with the mullet hair previously, but you know, I like colour. Well, this person, before I switched over to colour, was doing everything grey and modern tone. And I was like, I don't shoot black and white very often. I'm very colourful. And they're like, yeah, but this is what people are doing. I had them on a retainer. It was only like £300 a month. But I was so worried that if I let them go, I wouldn't be able to do it on my own, that they got nearly 1,200 out of me before I told them that I didn't want to use them. Costly mistake. Now I've learned to do it myself. I went on social media analytical courses, because as much as it's interesting to learn how to make the content, there's no point making the content if you don't know what the purpose of that content is. Okay, I've talked about this in my previous videos, so now's a good time, as I said, to like and subscribe and go look at those previous videos. Maybe I'll put one up here for you. I want to show off my work, and I want to do it in an effective way that I'm creating content that converts my clients across. Okay, so I want to get their money. I want them to book in with me, which is why now my social media has changed since I went on those classes. And now I teach you how to do it through this YouTube and my podcast and my books and my seminars and everything else I do. I just want to say that your talent will get you respect from other photographers, but doesn't necessarily get you clients. Clients are a bit of a different beast. What works to get photographers liking your work isn't necessarily going to get clients to like your work. You need to talk to your clients, and you need to get them to know. So that could be anything from understanding how SEO works, to social media marketing, to your brand message, to how you conduct yourself online and what events you show up to. There's a lot of reasons why you can get clients and how to get clients. It's not all just, hey, dance the latest reel on social media, which seems to be like a lot of the advice right now. It's not. Mistake I made massively was boundaries and not protecting my sanity. I know we've spoken about this a lot. I've done it recently, an episode on the podcast. Just being able to say no, and just to some clients, just telling a client, obviously I don't really say that to them, but I can tell you now that I had a bride who, back in my very, very early days, phoned me up and said she'd like to book me for a wedding. But first of all, she'd like to ask me some questions. I have no problems with that. She sent me a list of about 20 questions, which I was like, whoa, overwhelmed, but I understand it's a lot of money and it's your big day. So I answered them all. I sent her over the contract, the invoice, and the questionnaire at the time that I had, and she came back again with more questions. I was like, okay, let's jump on a call. She didn't want to do a call. She wanted to do email. I was like, okay, at least then I can prove I'm answering you. And then she still didn't sign the contract, but I considered her my client because we were talking. She then asked me to do a site visit. Bear in mind, there was no contract signed. And I was like, yeah, let's go do a site visit. I drove the 45 minutes to the site visit. We walked around. She then said, oh, are we going to do an engagement session? I said, yes, it's an engagement session complimentary if you book me. And she's like, right, when can we book it in? Again, still hadn't signed the contract, still hadn't paid her invoice. So here I was arranging an engagement session that she hadn't even signed up for yet. I ended up having that engagement session, and it turns out she'd done it to many other photographers to get loads of free photo shoots. She wasn't actually even getting married. She wasn't even getting married. She was just getting photo shoots. We went around the venue. She convinced the venue as well. She just wanted access to their venue. And she got free. It was a really costly one because basically she had an engagement session out of me, and I spent hours and hours talking with her. And it was all a ruse just to get loads of these photo shoots. She ended up getting married a couple of years later, and I know the photographer who shot her wedding. And he said it was the worst thing ever. She was worse than a bridezilla. She was the ultimate boss of bridezillas. And you can be, it's a lot of money, but yeah, I should have learned then boundaries. At the start of my career, I used to say yes to everything because I thought that was how it went. What I realised very quickly is that people will not pay for anything they've had previously. And I know it's a really hard thing for people to understand, but everyone says, oh, if you do this for free, you'll get paid later. I don't think I've ever known anyone for that to come out with. And if it has, please let me know and correct me and put it in the comments, because I'd love to know if it has happened. I remember shooting a festival for free back, what was it, in the early 200s? No, I'm laughing. About 11 years ago, I shot it all. I handed over the images for all the bands and stuff to have. And then the next year, they said, oh, are you coming back? And I was like, yeah. And I sent across my fees. And they were like, oh, no, we're not paying you. You were here free last time. And I was like, yeah, but my pictures are all over your marketing. And you know, like you're using them. And they were like, yeah, but you know, we can give you a free ticket. Well, if I'm going to shoot the event, I need access. So I've already got a ticket because I've got to be in the event to have it. And it's not like there were sectioned areas where you could go with the ticket. Like once you got a ticket, you're allowed everywhere. So I was like, I'm already going to be in there photographing. And I said, and then I was like, okay, maybe I can get one for my friend. And they're like, no, we're just giving you one. Your friend will have to pay. We can give you a discount. I was like, hang on a minute. I'm doing hours and hours of work. So anyway, like an idiot, I thought, oh, okay, we'll do it again. And it was good because I got a lot of traction out of it. Please understand. So I went and did it again. But this time I cut down how many images I supplied. Because I was like, you're not getting the full whack out for me. I tried to impress you. Anyway, no less than 2 days after that festival had happened and I delivered the images, did I get a phone call asking me where were the rest of the images? And I said, what images? Well, last time you gave us, I think like 500 and now you're only giving us 200. And I said, well, yeah, 2 or 3 images per band and a few of the thing. But we normally get loads from you. The band are asking for more. I said, well, I don't have more. I do have more, but they're not for free. I got told that and I quote, if I remember correctly, I should value the experience they allowed me to have and acknowledge that I owe them the images because they allowed me into the area. I have never worked for that festival again, and I hear still to this day they are taking advantage of people unpaid. And what's really funny is that one of my images was recently used again. Like, it's surreal because it's years later. One of them was recently used again in their memories thing they did. So I was like, obviously it's still got value because you're still using it. But yeah, honestly, I have nothing but regret. I don't think there are many things I've done for free that I haven't regretted. Occasionally I do some stuff like I volunteer and I do stuff for free that I've never regretted those. But there are times when I've like offered to do a portrait session for a mate's sister and they've come in and they're rude and condescending. They've been horrible. In fact, I threw my mate's sister out of my studio. So she was having a birthday. My mate was a bit tight and said, could you do a free shoot? I'll owe you one. I was like, yeah, no worries. And her sister came in with like 5 people as an entourage and they just spoke to me like I was shit. And in the end, I said she needed to leave. Now, unfortunately for her, we recorded the session because she wanted photos of it and videos of it. And I sent it to her sister and said, that's why I've kicked her out. I'm not having her in the studio. Did I lose a friendship over it? Not entirely. She was a bit taken back with me, but she said, oh, but it's my sister. Because I went, no, she was rude. I'm not having it. So I learned pretty quickly to sort of boundaries protect your sanity. And I think that's something that a lot of people need to acknowledge. Like, you need to set that in. Stop saying yes or think you might be desperate for your portfolio, but people see that and they prey on you for that. And as I said before, in my experience, nobody has paid for anything that they've got previously free. And it basically tells people you see no value in your work, because you're giving it away for free. There is no value in it. So when you then try to attribute value at a later date, they're like, well, you already told us it was worthless, so why is it now worth anything? Examples of clear boundaries are, clear pricing, contracts, timelines, and simply just saying no. 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 Nada. Nope. Lesson 4. Imposter syndrome. It exists. I've had it and I get it regularly. I still get it and I've been in this business a long time. It's a thing and don't listen to it. Is that enough? I can tell you why. I was so worried that I was not worthy of being a photographer. I once lied that I had a team behind me. I was offered a very big TV show to shoot behind the scenes on, and I was super worried because it was a big TV show and it was a couple of days shooting on set. And they were like, maybe we could get your assistant to call my assistant. Oh, yeah, I'll get my assistant to message you, to call you and contact you. And it was just the way they said it. And so flippantly, I was like, I haven't got a freaking assistant. It's just me in my back bedroom, like as an office. And not too dissimilar to this. This is my home office. And then obviously I've got my studio. But, and I was like, sure, I haven't got an office. Sure, what have I done? I haven't got one. And then they were like, okay, cool. So then I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And they sent me a number and I had to call this number. And I was like, oh God, my assistant. So I was like, I remember ringing the number and being like, hello, this is, Sarah, the assistant too. And it's weird now because I have a Sarah on my team, but at the time I had to fake that I had somebody else. I felt like I had to because I was thinking like I couldn't just say no, it's just me. And even up until probably about 6 years ago, I had a fake persona to chase my invoices. This is something that's really sad, a state of it, right? So I would ring people as Khandie and say, hey, you owe me money, blah, blah, blah. And they would be like, yeah, just drop us an email. Yeah, we'll sort it out. And it wouldn't. It would take days, weeks later. If I send an email with a male name attached to it and say, hi, this is Ben, Mark, Carl from accounting here at Khandie Photography. We noticed you've got an outstanding invoice. We will be sending this to collections if it does not get paid as per the agreement within 30 days. It gets paid. I could then put my own name on that and it doesn't get paid, which is freaking horrible, isn't it? So for a while, I quite enjoyed having a male accounts payable accountant thing. No, it was me. Weirdly now, my accountant is called Carl with a K, and he chases all of it for me, and takes no prisoners, which I absolutely approve. Every now and then I like to do my own, but yeah. We even had to take a client to small claims, which I'm not happy about, but they were a big name, and they tried to settle out of court, but because it was so soon, we went into court and they ended up paying me a lot more. But they said, oh, we didn't get the messages, and I was able to prove through the system they'd been sent 15 messages. 2 of them were signed, delivered, with proof of delivery. And yeah, but having imposter syndrome never leaves. I even felt bad taking them to small claims. I was like, who am I to take someone to small claims? Who am I? And I'm like, it's my legal right. Who am I? Like, it happens. One thing I can say is, don't work against it, lean into it and use it as a thing. Go, what do you mean I feel bad about who I am? No, why do I feel bad about him? Okay, I'm going to lean into this and do more and show off more. Because I think even the most experienced photographers question themselves when they're out in front of the public. I'm about to go to the NEC. In fact, when this video comes out, I will be at the NEC, right? I will be at NEC and I will be in front of loads of photographers doing a demo. Do you think I've got imposter syndrome? Yes, I have. I'm worried. Who the hell am I to be teaching you lot how to take headshots? Who am I? Well, I'm doing it. You know why? Because I wish when I started, someone showed me a cheap way to do headshots to start off with, okay? And I teach this to my students when they come to the studio. In fact, I taught 2 sessions this week, so why not? The confidence in photography and your abilities is what will set you apart and drive your career forward. Have confidence, even if you sometimes feel like you're not the greatest. Know that you're going to continue to learn, and it's all part of the process. So if that imposter syndrome starts creeping in, it's okay, because even the greats get it. This is one that I absolutely swear by. Your reputation is your biggest form of currency. Cameras come and go, clients come and go, but your reputation, how easy it is to work with you, how quick it is to work with you, and your type of work that you do is what is your currency. Will get you clients coming back, will get you notoriety, will boost you amongst the community, if that's what you're after. People love knowing that you're reliable. So if you stop replying to emails, stop picking up the phone call, stop replying to their DMs, it's gonna start trickling out to the wider public. Your reputation is what you should live and die by. Now, I know some people out there get upset when they get like a not 5-star review, and it happens. Please know there are people in this world who will not give a 5-star review, even if it's absolutely perfect, because they feel a bit weird about that. For me, it's more about the comments they put underneath and how I respond. And then when I book somebody and they don't have a 5-star, I don't feel awful about it. I have been known to eat at a restaurant that's only got 2 stars. Read into that what you will. Still great. Did not get food poisoning. So for me, I don't mind what it is. I look at the work and I look at the comments. It might be, the studio was a bit messy. Okay, it's not awful. It's not a deal breaker, but the photos are amazing. Okay, the end result for me. Okay, so I can overlook a messy studio. All right, I can overlook things. For me, people need to remember that the photography industry is a lot smaller than you think it is. And so your reputation has to precede you, and it has to be a good one. I have spoken to friends and known them as a gobshite. One thing I don't is hold back. I don't BS, and I don't take prisoners. If something annoys me, I say it straight out. I've always been like that since I can remember, but I also don't do, it's cliche to say I don't do the two-faced thing. I am directly who I am, and how I am online is exactly how I am in person, I'd like to think. But I want you to know that your reputation can work against you at times because people necessarily misinterpret you, and that's okay. You just need to make sure that you understand who you are and you keep putting that image out there and out there. And some people won't like you, and that's okay. As someone who is not liked, it's okay. You cannot be liked by everybody. It's really bad for your mental health. You know that, right? You cannot go around wanting everyone to like you, because that will really mess up your headspace, okay? Reputation is important, but so are boundaries and your mental health, and they kind of all play into one another, okay? But the biggest mistake I had was thinking that my reputation is something that slowly builds over time. It's not. It's something you have to keep at and continue to work at, and it needs to be forefront in your head. Do not reply to emails. Do not reply to comments. Like, you have to do your job. It is a job that you're creating. Don't slack off. And just so you know, good news travels slower than bad news, which is freaking awful. So if you hear someone saying bad news about people, take it with a pinch of salt, read between the lines, and be more just an industry thing. If someone speaks badly about somebody in a room, just remember that they have allowed that person to speak badly, and that says more about the person who has stood there listening and not correcting them than it does about the person speaking bad. Okay? Yeah, I think I said that right. Also, my favourite time is if you're busy bitching, you should be busy working. So one of them isn't right. Get to work. I feel like when people ask me to talk about what's it mean to be a successful photographer, I'm like, should I tell you about camera gear? Should I tell you about like what kind of my studio is and what my logo is? No. It's not about gear and lighting setups and like the cute banner I've put on my website. It's not. Being a photographer is really only part of being a working photographer and a good photographer. It's about my interaction with people. It's how I present myself. It's how I work as a photographer, as in the back room sort of stuff, how I send emails, how I engage with my clients. It's a lot more than what it is. But these, I hope, have helped you to rethink how you look at a business. But I will say a lot of these I've only learned because I was doing the job. So hopefully this will stop you and you'll go, I don't need to go and learn on the job like Khandie did. No baptism by fire. I'm going to learn from her video and not make these mistakes. I do want to know from you though, what is the hardest lesson you've ever found in photography? I think it's interesting to know these. We can do some more. I could do a confession of all the dodgy stuff I've seen happen and what I've done in photography. Oh my God, I've seen some cracking. I can share one now. I can share one now. Whew. Am I prepared to divulge? Yeah, this is before we go to like goodbyes and everything. Okay. I was working as a second I was working as a second shooter for a photographer, right? He lost one of his memory cards for a wedding and blamed it on the page boy standing on a card. What he did was he took one of his spare ones, smashed it and went, that's your wedding photos. He went in my bag and trashed it. That's horrific, isn't it? Anyway, don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.